What's up, everyone? Welcome into Around the Felt Week 6 recap on deck for tonight, pending 2 Monday Night Football games. I'm excited. We got 2 games to watch tonight, Reagan, once we're done recording. But, hey, it was an interesting week in the NFL. Some did well in their picks, some didn't. Reagan smacked a big one for the Felt 5 to keep them alive there. I closed the gap a little bit on the spread and money line picks, but we'll get into all of that. First of all, Reagan, how you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, dude, I'm doing great. I mean, it's a rainy Jersey day, unfortunately, but outside of that, no complaints here. We got 2 Monday night games. We're recording at 6:30 on the East Coast right now, so hopefully finishing up just in time to watch those games, cashing some wheels, just doing it all. So I'm excited. Also, the Jets suck, but that's okay. But my fantasy teams don't, so happy about that. But Jets
Yeah.
suck a
Well, you
lot.
declared last week
A
that you're a
lot.
fantasy football player. You're not a Jets fan anymore, so that's fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like, I'm kind of happy we lost that because I think if we won that game, I would add some hope with how the stretch of games is coming up with Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Carolina over the next 3. Not in that order, but regardless, it would have been like, we're 1-5, we have 3 winnable games. You never know, but now it's like 0-6, 0-6. It's like let's just keep it going, keep the
Hey,
losing coming.
as a Giants fan, I could tell you all it takes is one for the whole fan base to buy back in and start thinking playoffs again, after the Giants
Yeah.
huge win against Philadelphia. But we'll get into all that later on. First, we got to start with the news like we always do. And there is quite a bit of news to get through today. Let's start with the big one here. The Tennessee Titans fire head coach Brian Callahan after a 1-5 start. He only had 4 wins, 6 weeks through his second season. So obviously it's not looking good in Tennessee right now. And I think part of it is, okay, Mike Vrabel's rolling in here with a 4-win Patriot team. It's as many wins as Callahan had in a season plus in Tennessee. They pull the plug midseason with Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. It just seems like a cycle that never ends, but not ideal for Titans fans. Reagan's, your thoughts on this fire?
I actually like it. I think I like it better than waiting. Like, why not just get him out of there now? I mean, he wasn't going to be there next year anyway. So I think it's a different perspective. I don't really remember in recent memory a rookie quarterback losing his coach mid-season. I did no, because the Bears didn't fire Eberflus mid-season, did they?
Trevor Lawrence and
Was the last one? Yeah.
Eberflus was also fired midseason last year.
Okay, well, I still like it
Yeah.
regardless. Get him out of there. If you're not planning on bringing him back next year, just don't let him poison him anymore, I guess, than he already has. Let him try to develop, I guess, and I guess a lot of these guys there would be his guys that he hired, but still, I can't imagine it getting much worse for Cam Ward. So, if anything, I view this as a slight upgrade for him.
Yeah, my immediate thought was the worst thing was for the young offensive lineman, with obviously Brian Callahan's his father, Bill Callahan, being considered one of the best offensive line coaches in football. And that offensive line has never really gotten to the stage that you hoped it would be, taking Skoronski and J.C. Latham very early on in the draft. But, they're just not gelling quickly enough. Ward is not seeing the field quite as much as you'd hope, 6 weeks into the season. And they pull the plug. And, like you said, Reagan, I agree with you. Don't poison the young quarterback's mind anymore. This season was never going to be a winning season for Tennessee. In my opinion, the roster has too many holes. And with a rookie quarterback, that's always an uphill battle. But, yeah, it seemed like the writing was on the wall after the season. But to pull the plug this early on when, hey, reports came out a couple weeks ago, this is not what they wanted to do. They wanted to keep him throughout the season. But I guess it's gotten so bad. You have a guy like Jeffrey Simmons saying they had the shittiest week of practice, like a leader of the team. That's never good. So there must be more things going on behind the scenes that we just don't see on the field on Sundays.
Yeah, you got to think they're going to be big sellers at the deadline.
They should be.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Calvin Ridley, I heard, is a name that could be traded. I could see that. Like, why hold on to Calvin Ridley at this point? He's not doing anything for your offense.
I mean,
No.
It was just a rough game to watch them against, Vegas. They just didn't. I mean, we'll get more into it later, but that offense just looks terrible.
Yeah, it does.
Terrible.
Moving on here. Fred Warner, a dislocated and broken ankle, out for the season for a Niners team sitting at 4-2. Weathering the storm of some early season injuries, hoping to get back Kittle soon and Pearsall and Ayuk and getting that full arsenal now on the defensive side of the ball, which already lost a lot of talent in the offseason. No Nick Bosa and no Fred Warner for the rest of the season. I know you were super high on the Niners this year, Reagan. Does this change how far you think they can go in the NFC?
Oh, 100% does. I mean, their defense is just, so banged up right now. I mean, you just lost your best two defensive players in Bosa and Warner. I mean, one of the biggest reasons I was so high on them was because of those two guys on the defensive side. I mean, and even still, I feel like they were in that game with Tampa Bay with all those backups in. So, I mean, I still think the Niners are a playoff team. I just now don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. But, yeah, would I be shocked if they still are able to, steer the ship and win that division? Not at all with how good of Coach Kyle Shanahan is. So I think these guys are going to play hard. They're going to get healthier, or as healthy as you can get, and potentially still mess around and win the division, but definitely very much still alive in the wild card at 4-2.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but you also got to take into account the Bucs were without their top 3 receivers in that game too, and they still kind of hung a big number on San Francisco. So the team like the Seahawks, that looks pretty good right now. The Rams offense is always very potent, so it might be tough for the Niners to keep up if they're not fully healthy on offense.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, what was nice though to see, just that the I mean, I guess both offenses with how banged up they are, they're still, able to move the ball. And it's just like, to be a fan of a shitty team, it's like, how do these other teams have guys who are just the next man up approach? The Bucs are out there. You said their top 3 receivers are out, and it's still like, wow, like Tez Johnson's catching a bomb touchdown, and it's like, well, this is probably their number 5 or number 6 wide receiver. Yeah. And for the Niners, it's like Kendrick Bourne's all of a sudden just insane, and their backup tight end for Kittle, Jake Tunges, is just a very good receiving option. It's like, I just don't understand how good franchises continue to do it. But
coaching and quarterback, my friend, it's really all that matters in the NFL these days. Coaching and who do you have under center. That's what it comes down to. Brian Branch throws a punch at Juju after the game and gets suspended for 1 game. Will miss the upcoming Monday night game between Detroit and Tampa Bay now. Detroit, tough loss to the Chiefs. 13-point loss, not ideal. And now you're without Brian Branch at the back end of that defense where, hey, it looks like Tampa Bay, they're going to be without a Puka, but Mike Evans might be back. So they need all the help they can get in that secondary. What are your thoughts on kind of what went down at the end of the game yesterday and how much they're going to miss Brian Branch next week against the Bucs?
Yeah, that was so random, and he was also banged up in that game. So you got to think Juju probably said something to him at some point. And I saw Pacheco was all on his face at the end of the game as well prior to that. But yeah, I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, now it's a massive loss for Detroit. They're going to miss him next week. Their secondary's already banged up, so they can't afford to be losing guys for stupid reasons. And that was a very, very stupid reason.
Yeah, I think he said that Juju hit him from behind, hit him in the back, I don't know, a couple plays before, and he was a little pissed off about that. Words were exchanged, and then Pat Mahomes went to shake his hand. He didn't shake his hand. He just threw. I guess it's not a punch because he had a open hand, but he still gets the 1-game suspension with the open hand. Maybe part of it being after the whistle, after the game was over and teams were congregating, so it could escalate farther. I don't know, man. It seems like a very dumb decision by Brian Branch. And Dan Campbell said that. He said, I love Brian Branch. We love Brian Branch, but that is inexcusable. So, Dan Campbell is going to take care of that in-house as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, just unheard of, not something I've remember seeing in recent memory. You see it during the game and stuff, but to that extent, I'm not going to say it's disgusting or anything like that. Good for Brian Branch, I guess. Getting all crazy, lighting a spark. Hey, maybe I'm a Brian Branch fan here. Maybe he shouldn't have been suspended. What is Juju saying to him? What is he doing?
We don't know. We don't know what.
I mean, they got the Bucs next week. That's the only downside. If there's a game you probably want him for, it's against the 5-1 Bucs.
Yeah, a team that it's fair to say those teams are going to be competing for the number 1 seed in the NFC come December with the way they've looked thus far this season. So that's a great point there. All right, man, let's keep it rolling here. Tua Tagovailoa calls out his teammates in the press conference after the game. Says people are showing up late to meetings. And since then, Tua has received quite a bit of backlash from former teammates of his, from people in the NFL media, from former players in general, saying, no. That's not what you're supposed to do as the quarterback and leader of this team, is air your dirty laundry out in the media like that, talking about things that should be kept in-house. Catching a lot of heat right now. The wheels are falling off of Miami. I don't know, man. Is it almost time to pull the plug on not just Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier, the GM, but also Tua Tagovailoa after these comments?
It's getting to the point, brother, where it's like, what are they doing for the future here? Like, is Miami going to be a team that's going to clean house? Like, the way Tua's been playing, it definitely makes you think, like, hey, maybe Miami should just completely move away from him, try to trade him away, start a fresh rebuild with a new GM, a new head coach, and a new quarterback. I definitely think it's in the cards, especially with where Miami's going to be picking. Right now, this team looks terrible. I mean, granted, they've gone toe-to-toe the past couple of weeks with the Chargers and the Bills, but ultimately they've lost. They're sitting at 1-5, so it makes you think, why not just clean house? You're going to be picking in the top 5 and try to just start fresh. I think it's definitely in the cards.
Yeah, especially when you consider Tua's injury history along with that. Maybe he's losing the locker room as a leader as well. And if your franchise quarterback loses the locker room as a leader, yeah, it's never a good sign, dude. It just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to turn this team around and win a Super Bowl. Like, I don't know who in their right mind would think Tua Tagovailoa is going to win a Super Bowl in Miami. If that's not what you're striving towards, then what are you really doing here? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Back to the injuries. Your boy, Puka Nacua, sprains his ankle. He's certainly going to miss time. I believe the Rams have a bye week in week 8, so you could almost guarantee he's going to miss week 7. They got the bye week 8. Perhaps he's back in week 9. You never know with the ankle, though. These things can linger. Brutal loss for this Rams offense, but with Davante Adams and Kyren Williams and Matthew Stafford, hopefully they can keep the boat afloat and continue to win ball games. But for a guy that looked like he was on pace for potentially a triple crown for Offensive Player of the Year, really, really tough blow.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, he'll probably be back week 9, so you're going to be without him the next 2 weeks. Honestly, for those of you that have him, you're kind of lucking out in a sense because, with the bye, the way it works out, you kind of lucked out. It's like, if there's any time you want your players to get injured or miss a week, it's right around their bye week. Because I have Bucky Irving in some leagues, and it's like, damn, the Bucs have a later on bye, so it's like I'm missing him now, and then even when he's getting closer to being healthy, it's like I'm still going to miss him again later in the year because of the bye week. So that's one benefit to this. I mean, I don't know. It's just such a massive blow to this offense. But, I mean, I would think Davante Adams' stock is through the roof right now. Even if you get 1, maybe 2 games without Puka, you would got to think he's going to be fetching like 15 targets. Like, Stafford ultra targets his receivers like crazy. Kyren probably doesn't change much for him outside of maybe, less red zone work if the offense isn't able to move the ball as well. I would look at Tutu Atwell. I don't think I would love to start, but I think he's flex worthy with this news. Like, got to be that'll step up, and he's the known commodity, I guess. There, I mean, let's see. I didn't really catch a ton of this game with it being so low scoring. They didn't show it a ton on red zone, but let's see who.
Well, I was surprised Davante Adams didn't get more workload when Puka went out, because obviously I had Davante Adams in my Felt 5. He was in Big Dogs Parlay, got 2 red zone targets early on in the end zone, but really didn't have a big game. The entire Rams passing attack seemed to miss Puka Nacua greatly.
Yeah, I guess if you're looking for a spot start, Tyler Higbee might be the guy. I mean, he's the one with the 4 for 40 with the touchdown. He's a vet who's been with Stafford this whole time that Stafford's been there. So I would imagine he would be the biggest benefactor from this, at least for next week. Like, I think he's a great smash start at the tight end position. I think he'll be close to double-digit targets looking at this. Like, probably stay away from all the wide receivers, but with the tight end landscape right now, Tyler Higbee's a full-on plug-and-play.
I like it. Za'Darius Smith announces his retirement today from football. Obviously, on the Eagles right now, hasn't been making that significant of an impact. He decides mid-season to hang him up, says it has nothing to do with the Eagles. He just feels like it's time for him. Za'Darius Smith, a great long career. Nothing really notable to talk about there. Just wanted to flag that one of the better pass rushers over the last decade, calls it quits after a tough ass beating, belt to ass from the New York Giants. So,
wow, there you go. Cam Scatabo kicked Za'Darius Smith out of the league. Who would have thought?
Stiff armed him into retirement.
Who would
All
have
right.
thought?
Last piece of news here. Reports coming out today that Alvin Kamara is committed to the Saints despite trade interest from other teams. I know the Chiefs have been floated around a lot. You better bet that Brent Veach in that Chiefs front office has made calls trying to get running back help. Kamara wants to stay in New Orleans. Seems like he wants to retire a Saint, does not care about the wins and losses right now. But, New Orleans lost a tough one to New England. They're playing better ball the last couple of weeks. Your thoughts here, man? Sucks for fantasy football, especially if Alvin Kamara. You'd love to see him go to a contender, play some meaningful games on a great offense. But for a Saints fan, how would you feel? Would you be like, damn, like I kind of want to get back what we can get right now, get a mid-round pick and call it a day, try to rebuild this team? Or you like, you know what? I love Alvin Kamara so much, a franchise staple. I'm glad he wants to be here long-term, retire a Saint.
I mean, I see both sides of the coin. I mean, I would think, ultimately it's not like they're putting in Shuck and, Rattler's probably, while he has played okay, like I wouldn't say Rattler's terrible. He's definitely been serviceable for them. Neither of those guys are probably your long-term answer. So there's a quarterback where it's like, yeah, we need him here. He's good for the development and growth of this guy. You love to see that, but I think ultimately it's like, hey, we want to do right by you and send you to a contender, give you a chance to win, and let's make this a win-win situation. So I think Saints fans will be cool with it if they're going to send him for a chance where he has to get a ring and they can get some value back. That would be the top thing, because I think at the end of the day it's a business, and that would benefit them the most in this business would be getting a pick of value for a guy that's been very valuable for this franchise.
Yeah, and who's 29 years old, running back? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's. But hey, if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go, and
don't want to go.
I'm going to honor that. All right, man. That's all we got from the news tonight. What do we got for questions?
Yeah, so we had Caleb and Garrett submit questions. I'm going to go to Caleb first, Mr. Bases, and he's talking to us about one of the most popular guys in fantasy football right now. He wants to know, is it a no-brainer for Rico Dowdle to remain the RB1 for the Panthers going forward?
Dude, when you go for 200 all-purpose yards in back-to-back weeks, yeah, like absolutely. And the big thing is you don't lose your job due to injury. Well, I guess that's with an asterisk, unless the guy behind you goes for 200 yards in back-to-back games. Like, yeah Chuba Hubbard's going to come back and have a role, but in what world would you sit your hot hand right now in Rico Dowdle, who's energizing this team and going absolutely nuts behind? Like, it's not like he's going behind an elite offensive line either. This guy is playing his nuts off. You got to tip the cap. And sorry, Chuba Hubbard, it looks like you lost your job to injury.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the RB1 for them, but I think Chuba will still be definitely involved. I mean, he was, I believe, had like 1,500 yards, over the past couple of years and seasons. So he's been very efficient as well. I think it'll be more of a 1-2 punch where now it's, 66-33 Dowdle where it was 66-33 Chuba. So I think the tides have flipped, but I think ultimately Chuba's got some juice that he'll still be involved. But I would say Dowdle's probably the one to have. It's just unfortunate if you have both of them, because I don't think this offense will be high powered enough for it to work. Like in fantasy, to start both guys. But then again, you never know. I mean, listen, they've put up 30 plus points in multiple weeks now, and Dowdle's looked great. So I don't know. I could be wrong. I just find it hard to believe with the money they committed to Chuba that he's just going to be out of the equation completely.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be out of the equation completely, but it's going to be tough to slot him in at one of your RB slots in your fantasy lineup and feel good about it. Like at flex, I get it. But if he's your RB2, I'm not thrilled.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I wouldn't be either. I mean, hopefully, I don't even know if you want that situation, like to have Chuba and Dowdle, because it just seems like you might be picking the wrong side of the coin every week, where it's like, we don't even know how the red zone's going to shake out. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you want that. Like, I don't know if you want to be tasked with that every week.
It's like Walker Charbonnet. It's like a similar
Yeah.
thing, right? The only one that I think you could start both and be fine is Gibbs Montgomery, but we've seen Montgomery throw up some duds as
Yeah,
well.
and even then, I mean, there's not many backfields nowadays that like you can have multiple serviceable guys. I mean, I'm trying to think. Yeah, like even Gibbs Montgomery, like yeah, that's about it. But even then, like you said with Montgomery, he could dud you so easily. Like last night was a complete dud, and you even see like not only that, you can see with volume alone, like it's been a huge shift. Like where it used to be a pretty even split, it's not even close to that anymore.
No, it's not.
So
It's not.
But let me move on to what he's got next. He wants to know, what should fantasy managers do about Breece Hall's inconsistency?
I mean, it's tough, man. I think the Jets' offense is the big problem here. And you were hoping, I would say week 5, he had a pretty big game with no Braylon Allen, and that's kind of the blueprint. That's what you're banking on week in and week out. Problem is, he hasn't been able to get in the end zone yet, and it's been 6 weeks. And when you're the lead back, not getting the end zone, you're losing a ton of fantasy production there. And it's not like Fields has been utilizing him as much as a receiver as I was hoping for. So, yeah, I mean, you're definitely concerned, but with no Braylon Allen for the foreseeable future, I'm still confident starting in my lineups, more so as a flex play. But I even think if he's your RB2, like you're fine. Like, the Denver's a really,
he's
really
like a pure
difficult
volume
matchup.
guy.
It will be a difficult matchup for everybody. So everyone's gassing up Scatterboo right now after 94 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he's got Denver on deck. It's a tough matchup. He might not have a big game. I'm not throwing Scatterboo on the bench after that if he doesn't have a big game against Denver. So, and Breece Hall has probably more of a snap percentage ahead of him than Scat, which Tyrone Tracy getting his way back in there, right? So I still think with the pure volume, knowing he's the RB1, the touchdowns hopefully will come. I just don't know how many he's going to get this year, given how bad this Jets offense has looked.
Yeah, and I mean, Caleb, also you can kind of hope for him to get traded as well. I mean, there's still that realm of possibility. Yes. I don't know. It depends where. Like Kansas City's been floated around. I mean, that's a high-powered offense. It's still a little nerve-wracking that, like, I don't know, because they haven't really been able to establish the run at all yet with the likes of Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. So it's like, would Hall be able to shift that? Probably, because he's way better than those guys. But even then, like, Kansas City has had so many different running backs, and it just seems like nobody can run the ball.
I would love that. I mean, Hall's in the last year of his deal. They're 0-6. If you're the Jets, clearly a team that needs to rebuild. It's a similar conversation the Giants with Barkley. Like, obviously, Breece is not the caliber of Barkley, I don't think, but it's the same conversation. Do you pay the running back when you have other holes in your team and you still got to get that quarterback in place? And it's, I don't know. You're a Jets fan, Reagan. Do you think they re-signed Breece Hall? And do you want them to?
No and no. I think ultimately we should just draft somebody. I mean, it's not really worth it. Like we already see, like we paid Sauce Gardner top dollar. Like, is that really worth it? Right now, it seems no. Like Garrett Wilson, yes, it's worth it. But if we don't have a quarterback, like we're never going to fully maximize that contract either. Like if you don't have anyone to get him the ball, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, no, I have no desire for them to pay top dollar. I know he's a great back, but I just don't think he'll ever fit our timeline. By the time we are ready to compete, he'll be at the back end of his contract. So it's like, what's the point of even giving him that contract? I'd much rather them, let Allen have a crack at it, try to draft somebody, because we've seen some of these classes that are so deep at the running back position. And, I have no desire for them to pay him.
Yeah, it's almost like you bring up signing a running back in free agency. We talk about what happened in 2024, and obviously the Eagles signed Barkley, win a Super Bowl. The Packers signed Jacobs, and he goes off. The Ravens signed Henry, and he goes off. What do those three teams have in common, though? Franchise quarterbacks already in place. They're already in place.
Yeah,
it's a cherry on top, right? Paying the running backs a cherry on top. You can't do it if you don't have the quarterback, because you got to do everything you can to help support that quarterback. And it also helps when you have a guy like Braylon Allen who's shown that, he can play in this league. I don't think he's as good as Breece Hall, but he can play in this league, and you can draft a guy in day 2, day 3, and kind of fill that void and use that money elsewhere to support a young quarterback. That probably seems going to happen. So I think sitting at 0-6, it would make sense to trade Breece Hall to a Chiefs team potentially and get back a round 3, round 4 pick and just, save money and use that to help build up the foundation of your team.
Yeah, he also wants to know, are there any must-pick-up waiver wire claims this week? I would say, I mean, if Rico's still out there, yeah, that's a must-pick-up to me.
I mean, what about Kamani Vidal? I
yeah.
know Hassan Haskins was probably the guy that we thought was going to be the lead back.
Oh, I thought it was Vidal. That's what I said.
Vidal he had the better game
the other day, because he's the more not complete back, but the more explosive, the closer build to Hampton, where Haskins is just a big like bruiser, kind of like Gus Edwards. So I thought it was going to be him. He'd have the better crack. Oh, I don't know what I clicked there. There we go. We're
Whoa.
back. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely a must pick up. I mean, he's a short-term must pick up because, he has an expiring clock on him. Cardinals situation, you don't really want any of those running backs right now. It's pretty murky there. I mean, out of nowhere, like last minute, Michael Carter got all the work last week, and then they the report comes out, oh, Bam Knight's going to be starting at running back.
Yeah, what the fuck happened there, dude? DeMarcado, of course, did barely played because of his fumble. I thought maybe they give him the lion's share just as apologies, but that I'm just to bring that up again, Reagan. We talked about it last week how we didn't like that and thought it was soft. Apparently, do you see the Diana Rossini report that came out?
No.
People in NFL circles, like in AFC executives, quoted was saying, yeah, the owner just cut his balls off in front of the team. Like, no one's going to respect you after doing that. Like, you just like undercut your head coach. Like, if you thought it was that bad, you should just fired the guy. Like, you just cut his balls off. Like, you can't do that. So they're getting a lot of heat, Cardinals ownership and the front office for that decision. And we were here last week calling them soft. So we were right there.
Yeah, no, we definitely were. But that I did not see that. That's wild. That really is wild. Damn. That is funny. All right, let's move on. Caleb, thank you once again for submitting questions. Let's move on to Garrett now. And once again, those who are listening, you can always submit questions. We always put the link out on our Instagram if you want to submit them. Happy to answer them. But Garrett wants to know, is George Pickens a sell high candidate in Dynasty? If so, what kind of package would he warrant?
No, that's an interesting question because we have no idea whether or not he's going to be a Cowboy next year or not.
Yeah.
You could see what he can do when he actually has a quarterback that is talented and could throw the ball across the yard. I mean, he's going absolutely nuts with no CeeDee Lamb. I think it's a potential to sell high, right? Because CeeDee Lamb's coming back, and with the way the Dallas Cowboys operate, you don't know who they're going to pay and when. So, Pickens, I think, has the same agent that Micah Parsons has, which is another interesting wrinkle to add to that equation. So I don't know, man. I think it's tough to predict if George Pickens is going to be a Cowboy or not next year. But with CeeDee Lamb coming back, I think it's a potential to sell high. I mean, I wouldn't give up a first round pick personally, but maybe someone out there would, and I would trade him for a first.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I gave up a package where I got to pick him in Olave for Puka Nacua, and that was a little people kind of questioned that, like, hey, is it worth to give up that kind of value for him? It really depends where he goes. I mean, there's some situations where teams have terrible quarterbacks that will pay him the money to come in, and then it's like, we see a similar situation to what we saw in Pittsburgh, where it's like, yeah, he's good, the talent's there, but like the bust rate is so high, and like he's not going to be a stud for fantasy football. So that is definitely well in play when it comes to Pickens. I would say, yeah, probably sell high. I think this might be his ceiling at where he's at right now, and I don't think this will be consistent enough going forward. So I would try to sell high on him and see if you can fetch some picks. All right, let's move on to Garrett's next question. He wants to know, which rookie defensive players okay, one more time. Which rookie defensive players have looked the best so far, in your opinion?
Well, if you go by betting odds, Abdul Carter is still the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Doesn't have the counting stats, but man, he looks dominant on tape, which is great to see. I know Xavier Watts, the safety for Atlanta, coming up shortly, has a couple interceptions, and he was a third-round guy, I believe. And he's really showing why the Falcons took him where they did, and that his production at Notre Dame was not a fluke. I don't know, Reagan, is there anyone else that's been catching your mind to this point?
I like Campbell with the Eagles. He's been pretty good so far, Jahad Campbell.
Yeah, he has been.
I feel like a lot of these rookie defensive players, like there hasn't been a ton of like that have really like stuck out so far where I'm like, damn, like he's great and stuff. I feel like it's been kind of a lackluster start for a lot of these rookies on the defensive side of the ball, where the offense, I feel like there's been a lot more breakouts thus far.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a guy like Mason Graham who's definitely done his job on that Browns defensive line. Like, you're not going to see it a ton in the box score, but this Browns defense was not very good last year. And, there's multiple factors involved, but Mason Graham being plugged in that interior is a factor why you're seeing some improvement there. So, he's had a good start as well. I know the Falcons took 2 pass rushers in the first, and James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee and Jalen Walker out of Georgia. They haven't really made a ton of noise yet, but we'll see tonight. Perhaps they shut me up and one of them has a big play.
Perhaps they do. That would be nice, right?
That would be nice.
And then what else? All right. So, Campbell for me. I don't know. I just feel like it's so early, but yeah, there's not a ton that stick out to me offhand. All right, Garrett, let's move on to your next question. He wants to know, do you think the Ravens can still push for a playoff spot?
Yes, but they're hanging on for dear life right now at 1-5. If there's any team that could do it, it's probably Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh that could lead them to a 9-8, maybe 10-7 record. But I know they've had a brutal schedule to this point. I don't have the schedule in front of me. I'd imagine it's going to lighten up a bit. But yeah, it's really difficult. I don't think it's ever been done in NFL history. If there's a team to do it, though, Lamar Jackson would get the nod from me, but we'll see. I don't know, man. It's tough because I was very optimistic for the Ravens this year.
Yeah, I still feel like it's, very, very possible. Lamar will be back. The bye week could not come at a better time for this team right now. But then they have their schedule softens up a lot. They get the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets, the Bengals, the Steelers, the Bengals. I like they're going to play.
It does lighten up. Yeah.
Like there's a chance they play the Bengals at least one of those 2 times without Joe Burrow. It might be both. We don't know how he's coming back, but we could look at it over the next. They could go on a 5-game winning streak going into that Cincinnati game on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving at 6-5, and we're like, wow, they're right back in the thick of things. Like they're 2 back of Pittsburgh, and hey, they still got Pittsburgh twice on the schedule. So I definitely think not only can they still make the playoffs, but they are still very much alive in that playoff race for the division, even being back 3 I guess it's 3.5 because Pittsburgh had their bye of the first place.
Yeah, that's true, man. The Steelers are 4-1. You got to think the Bengals without Joe Burrow are kind of out of it now. Obviously, Cleveland's out of it. So it's a race to catch Pittsburgh, and it's going to be a long ways to go. But obviously, they got to sweep Pittsburgh, I think, to have a chance.
They definitely do. It's just tough. And but let's go to his final question. He wants to know, and we're going to be talking about 2 quarterbacks. Would you rather have your quarterback if you were starting a franchise right now? Or I'm sorry, let me say it again. Which quarterback would you rather have if you're starting a franchise right now? Caleb Williams or Drake Maye?
Give me Drake Maye, dude. Give me Drake Maye. I think he's doing more with less. I do got to tip my cap to Caleb. He looks like a different guy under Ben Johnson. But there's been a lot of stuff come out about him and his leadership tactics and if he's watching film enough and all this stuff. And I don't hear any of that from Drake Maye. Drake Maye doesn't have DJ Moore, Romo Dunes, 2 former first-round picks out wide, plus add in Luther Burden, a second-round pick, add in Colston Loveland, a first-round pick, Cole Kmet, a second-round. Like, he doesn't have all that around him. They're still building up their foundation, New England, and I love what I'm seeing from Drake Maye. I love the arm talent he has when he's throwing, off script, out of the pocket. I think the kid's just got it. I love his rushing ability, and I think he's smarter with the football. So, yeah, give me Drake Maye, man. I really think Drake Maye is going to finish with a better career than Caleb Williams. That's not me saying I don't think Caleb Williams has a good career, but I think Drake Maye is closer to Jaden Daniels than he is to Caleb Williams in that draft class.
Fair. Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm still going to go with Caleb Williams. I'm still totally bought in on this guy. Like, he's looked great to start out the year. I think he's going to ball out tonight. Like, I'm super excited for this Commanders-Bears game. I think it's going to be back and forth. Both guys having a lot to prove in this game. Not that I'm not high on Drake Maye either, because like both guys have been studs. Like, really, this draft class has been insane, and I still feel like we don't fully know on Penix or McCarthy because it's just so early on those guys. But at least the other 4, like in Maye, Williams, Daniels, and Bo Nix, like they got freaking guys. They got guys. But the fact that even Rattler, man, like Rattler's shown enough where it's like none of those guys, like all 7 of those guys that have played, significant time, or McCarthy maybe not so much yet, but none of them you're like fully saying are bad. And it's like so rare in a draft class to be like, wow, like none of these guys are busts yet. Like people may want to say McCarthy because of the injuries, but like I don't think you can sit here and say for sure. Where like there was that draft with Kenny Pickett where he was the first quarterback taken. Where I think like I don't know if there's anyone that's even playing from that draft class like starting. Most of them are backups or out of the league already. So it's just crazy to see like how good of a draft class this ended up being.
Yeah, I thought that question was going to be, who would you rather have, Cam Ward or Jackson Dart? And I was like, woo, I don't know. Who should have went one? Who should have went one?
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I still it's that one's hard because
it's way too soon, dude. It's way too soon to be having this conversation.
It's way too soon, but I will say
got fired.
Yeah, I would say Dart might be in a little bit of a better situation right now out of the two. But yeah, it's
crazy to say. I'm just happy you say that about the Giants. They're a better situation than anywhere else for anybody. It's just good.
Yeah, they're one of the better situation. Well, not one of the better, but I wouldn't say a bottom 5 situation right now. Like the Jets, Raiders, Titans definitely have them beat, just to name a few. But that's all I got for the questions tonight.
All right, man. Before we dive into these games, because we do have to talk about Jackson Dart and the Giants, let's just go over the Felt 5 and the picks.
Yeah,
so the Felt 5, I went down 2.6 this week. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs really screwed me my 5-unit play, but we hit on Jonathan Taylor at the 4 at plus money. That was nice. Reagan up 8.72, hitting Mayfield and Mac Jones combined 600 passing yards at 493 odds with his 4-unit play. Big hit for you, Reagan. You're up 841 in the season now. It's pretty good to see. Garrett went down 288. Zach down 115. Dave up 209. So a pretty even keel week for most of the crew besides Reagan, up big at 872. Dave is still the leader of the clubhouse, up 25.03 units on the season, followed by Zach at 15.15 and then Reagan at 8.41. Pretty good, boys.
Yeah,
pretty good.
We'll take it. The boys will take it. The boys will take it.
And for the picks for last week, still pending 2 Monday Night Football games. Reagan went 5-8 against the spread, 7-6 against the money line. I went 9-4 against the spread, 11-2 on the money line. Much better for me after a putrid week 5. Close the gap a little bit. I'm still back 2 games on Reagan, who's 48-43 against the spread. I'm 46-45. I do have the nod of the money line, though, by 3 games at 55, 35, and 1. All right, man. Now let's talk about these ball games here. We'll start with Thursday Night Football. The Giants take care of business, belt to ass fashion, 34-17 over Philly. They improved to 2-4. Eagles dropped to 4-2. I was there in attendance. Wow, what an atmosphere for that game. Seeing Scotabo go for 3 touchdowns. Jackson Dart doing his thing, throwing for 195 and a touchdown, also adding 58 and a touchdown on the ground. I think people underestimated how good he is of a runner coming into the draft. I mean, I didn't expect him to run this good. I mean, I thought he's going to move around in the pocket, but to have this rushing production this early is great to see. That touchdown run in the first quarter was sick. And then, of course, finding Wan'Dale Robinson, 6 for 84 and a touchdown with no Darius Slayton. For the Eagles, it's a tough one, man. Hurts throws for 283, a touchdown and a pick. Doesn't look that bad. Could have been a lot better if you didn't miss Devontae Smith down the sideline, who finished 4 for 49. Could have had a 100-yard game and a touchdown, though. It was the Dallas Goedert show, 9 for 110 and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 6 for 80, so he got involved as well. Barkley, couple big runs in the first drive and then really cooled down, 12 for 58. You know, obviously a lot of talk with the tush-pushes, the 4 consecutive tush-pushes, which I want to get your thoughts on. And whether or not that play should be banned, because a lot of people kind of changed their minds after seeing that on national TV. But yeah, Eagles in a tough spot here now at 4-2, but 2 straight losses. You got to imagine they're going to figure it out. They got to find their identity on offense, and it can't just be tush pushes all day, every day. Your thoughts on this one, Reagan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this was our big bet. Unfortunate. I mean, I'm sure you're ecstatic as a Giants fan.
Keep the points. Keep the points.
You know, when it comes to the tush push, no, I don't think it should be banned. Like, I really don't have an issue with it at all. I really honestly don't understand why more teams don't run it. Like, everybody's allowed to run it. You can see how successful it is, so that's on you if you choose to not perfect it. I mean, until they ban it, I don't know why every team wouldn't run it. Like, it's so freaking successful. So I don't have an issue with it because it's not like I don't understand why the Jets don't run it. Honestly, like, Justin Fields is, you know, like a type of like similar style to Jalen Hurts. Like, why not run it? You know, like, I don't know. But yeah, I was really impressed with the Giants here, and maybe it is time to panic a little bit in Philadelphia, at least on the offensive ball, but even defensively. I mean, they made Jackson Dart look really freaking good, and he is a good quarterback from what we've seen so far, but I don't think you should have made him look that good. Like I don't know, for as talented of a team as this is, I mean, you really made Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart look like they're next up. And watching that game, that made me kind of feel like it reminded me a lot of Dallas when they had Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott in their first year as rookies together. They gave me that same like vibe and feeling. So Giants probably won't make the playoffs this year, but at this point, it's this season's a massive win. I mean, hey, if you do fuck around and get in, that's great. I just think it's going to be an uphill battle. But if you end the season with 7 wins, I mean, you really can't complain. And who cares if you have a 7-win season as long as you have the quarterback figured out? Like, that's really the only reason you ever really want to have a bad record is for the quarterback.
You're absolutely right, dude. And that's the thing where it's like, that's what I've been saying about Dayball and Shane was they don't need to make the playoffs to keep their jobs. But if Jackson Dart looks like he's a franchise quarterback and you see improvements, they're going to keep their jobs because they want to. John Mara is going to want to continue to see Dart develop under him. And I know it's been 3 games, and that Saints loss was disgustingly bad when you have five turnovers, all those fumbles. Yeah, not ideal, but he beat a 3-0 Chargers team and a 4-1 Eagles team. And it's 2 of his first 3 starts as the starting quarterback. Where before the season, you're looking at that on the schedule like, that's a loss. That's a loss. Like, you don't even think you're going to beat those teams. And now you are with a rookie quarterback. And I saw this. I think it was Sean Morash on The Fan. But his big thing was this season's already a success because it changes your mindset week in and week out. Like, typically as a Giants fan, you would go into this game against Denver and be like, yeah, that's a loss. There's no way we beat Denver on the road, that defense. Now, every week you feel like you have a chance because you have the quarterback. You have a chance to win that game. It's not an automatic loss. So, to your point, yeah, the season already feels like a success for the Giants. Jackson Dart, it's not just that he's winning games. It's the way he's doing it. It's using his legs. It's energizing the team. It's making insanely accurate throws as he's getting hit, from different arm angles. It's all those things that you love to see. And, to your point about the Eagles defense, they got a problem in that secondary, dude. It's bad. Keely Ringo's getting benched. Adoree Jackson doesn't even look like he should be playing football anymore. Obviously Quinyon Mitchell banged up a little bit. But outside of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, you can look at the secondary and be like, yeah, it's a problem, particularly at corner.
Sorry, I was fixing something with my mic. Yeah, I mean, you got hope. That's the key. You got hope, my man. You got hope. But let's move on.
Jealous? Are you a little jealous? We got to talk about your Jets right now, and I don't know if you have hope after the Jets.
No, I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous because ultimately, I am happy that we're getting clarity. Like, at least we know Justin Fields isn't the answer. Like, the worst thing we could have had is them win like 6 or 7 games, and like he shows enough where it's like, all right, we have the 3rd pick, or we have the 7th pick. Like, let's roll another year with Fields and like waste another year. Like, at least now we know like we're drafting a quarterback next year.
Yeah, and that comes after a 13-11 loss to the Broncos in London. Jets dropped to 0-6 here. Justin Fields 9 of 17 for 45 passing yards, and he got sacked 9 times. 9. I can't believe that happened. Yeah. Obviously, part of that is the Broncos have one of the best pass rushers in football. They led the league in sacks in 2024. You got to tip your cap to Nick Bonito and the boys in that D-line who had a sack in this one. But, also a young offensive line, particularly at the tackle positions. But also that's Fields as well, holding the football, not getting rid of it, not going through his progressions. When Garrett Wilson has 3 catches for 13 yards on 8 targets, I already know the Jets lost that game. Breece Hall, 22 carries for 59 yards. I mean, he got the touches, but couldn't really find many running lanes against this Broncos defense. You got to tip the cap to that defense and Vance Joseph because it wasn't sexy on offense for Denver either. A lot of field goals. The only touchdown of this game, Nate Adkins for Denver. So, yeah, you had touchdown parlays like I did. It didn't go very well for you because I tell you what, the wheel was not going to have Nate Adkins, and I was not going to have Nate Adkins in Big Dogs parlay. So yeah, J.K. Dobbins 14 for 40, nothing special. R.J. Harvey still not involved. Cortland Sutton got strapped up by Sauce Gardner. Very ugly game. I really don't have much more to say on this one unless you do.
I'd be nervous. I don't know. I shouldn't say I should be too nervous, but I'd be a little nervous about that Denver offense. Defense looks sick, but because the Jets defense has been getting cooked by everybody. And granted, defense always travels. It's an international game, whatever, but like the fucking Jets, prior to that game, like the most they had allowed in a game was, or the least they'd allowed in a game is 27. So, and that was against Tua and the Dolphins, who really haven't looked great either. So I'd be a little nervous about that Broncos offense going forward. But outside of that, defense looks amazing. Like, this Giants-Broncos game next week should be a good one. But let's move on. I don't want to talk about the Jets no more. I don't want to do it.
Don't worry. We don't have to do it. We can talk about the Colts and Danny Dimes, the sure leader for comeback player of the year, with a win 31-27 over a Jacoby Brissett-led Cardinals team. That came in late morning that Kyler Murray will not be playing. Jacoby Brissett had to take the reins. He threw for 320, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. That's pretty good from Jacoby Brissett, particularly when you consider that Marvin Harrison Jr. left the game after 2 for 32 with a concussion. Not ideal. Bam Knight, the lead back here, 11 for 34 and a touchdown. Michael Carter, 9 for 34. So maybe slightly better than yards per carry, but really no difference between the two. Trey McBride, 8 for 72 and a touchdown. If you're a McBride fantasy holder, that's what you've been waiting for. It just took, Jacoby Brissett coming in the game for him to really pop off and get in the end zone there. For the Colts, Jones, again, did his thing. 212, 2 touchdowns a pick. Nothing sexy, but winning football. Jonathan Taylor, 21 for 123 and a touchdown. Jones also added one on the ground. Tyler Warren and Josh Downs get in the end zone. Tyler Warren looks like an absolute stud already. This Colts offensive line looks awesome. Quentin Nelson back to his all-pro self after battling some injuries. The dude is just dominant on the interior there for the Colts. It's a big win for the Colts, man. I still can't crown them as true contenders at 5-1 because you look at their schedule, and I don't think they've necessarily beaten any juggernauts. But, hey, good teams find ways to win games. Shane Steichen, after a lot of offseason chatter of Richardson not developing, now is getting a lot of praise for the kind of offensive mind he is. And tip the cap, Daniel Jones, man, keep it up, dude. Another big
Speaking of Richardson, too, they just put him on the IR after we did the news. I forgot to bring it up because I was going to wait till we got to the section.
Oh, yeah, with the orbital fracture, right?
Yeah, with the orbital fraction, yeah. So
timing.
Ended up being a – yeah. The only thing is now, Daniel Jones is going to play the starter all season if he doesn't get injured. So that's great for the comeback player of the year award. Not that I was really worried at this point, but still there was always the threat where if he put together like 2 or 3 bad games in a row, like, yeah, he might have a chance to get benched. But now, I think it's his job for the rest of the season, right? I think that's safe to say.
Easily his job the rest of the way. Sam Ellinger ain't coming for that job.
No. And even freaking JT, like, so good. Just good. This team alone, just a very good team, honestly. Defense looks great. They're legit contenders. Same with the Jaguars. Like, both of those teams are going to be, in a real tight race. And if Texans still not 100% sure on them if they're good or bad, because they beat the Ravens and looked really dominant, but it was also no Lamar. So it's like, can you really take away from that? What can you? I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But that AFC South is definitely a very interesting division this year.
Yeah, I still think whoever wins that division is probably an early exit, but who knows, man? Who knows? All right, the Chargers take care of business on the road at Miami, 29-27. Took some late game heroics from Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey with a 42-yarder to get into field goal range to get the win. Chargers now 4-2. Miami 1-5. We'll get to the Dolphins, but for the Chargers here, obviously no Omarion Hampton, no Quentin Johnston. Doesn't matter. Justin Herbert, 264, 2 touchdowns, only sacked once as well. I know we talked about this last week, Reagan. I was like, the only thing I'm concerned about is this Dolphins pass rush can get home, and we've seen Herbert getting pressured and hit a ton without his top 2 tackles. Only 1 sack. That's why they scored 29 points in this game. Also, Kamani Vidal going for 124 is a reason. McConkey, his big breakout game, 7 for 100 and a touchdown, is another big reason here. And Oronde Gadsden II, the rookie tight end, was getting a lot of praise.
That's a waiver wire guy that's probably a must pick up right now.
Yeah, getting a lot of praise in minicamp, and now he's finally taken over and becoming that number one tight end over Will Dissly. 7 for 68, man, on 8. And Conklin on 8 targets. The rookie, got to pick him up. I have him stashed on 2 taxi slots, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm going to probably go pick him up in a league where, I've been playing Tunges because he's been good, but like once Kittle comes back, he's unplayable.
That is true. For the Dolphins, man, they scored 27 points despite Tua throwing 3 interceptions, did have 205 and a touchdown. You finally got the run game going with Achane, 128 and 2 tutties with a long of 49, but it wasn't enough. Jalen Waddle, 6 for 95. Darren Waller scores another touchdown, and I saw an interview of him today, shit-talking the Giants. I'm like, buddy, you're on a 1-5 team. Let's pipe it down. You're catching tutties, but you ain't necessarily lighting the scoreboard up and going for 100 yards week in and week out.
Yeah, I want to see
Zach Wilson
start. I want to see Zach Wilson start soon.
You think it's in the cards, man? I mean, I don't know. Tua throws 3 picks and then starts shit-talking his teammates after saying they're not going to meetings. And then I saw someone tweeted like, dude, I was there for like rookie year Tua, and he showed up late to his meetings. Like, what the fuck? So, hey, maybe Zach Wilson does get a run here.
It's possible. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it.
At what point do they just fire everybody? I know we talked about it earlier, but I mean, for the Chargers, the game you got to win. You're expected to win. They got it done. It wasn't sexy, but survived in advance, got a lot of injuries, fine. Bigger story here is for Miami. How many more losses is going to take for McDaniel to lose his job?
Yeah, I think it's coming. I think it's coming very soon.
We'll see. Apparently the owner believes in him, but I don't know. I don't know how you can right now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I didn't think Callahan would get fired this early, and he did. So I thought he had a longer leash just with the rookie quarterback. So we saw him a little over a year and get fired. That's good. The way I'm feeling right now, I don't know if I want Aaron. I might want Aaron Glenn out after a year.
That's too early for that, dog. It's too early for that. All right, let's move on. The Pats take care of business on the road at the Saints, 25-19. New England 4-2, including 3-0 on the road now. Saints 1-5. This was definitely a sneaky trap game. The Saints coming off a win. The Pats also coming off a win beating the Bills. But they took care of business here. Drake Maye, 261, 3 tutties. The run game, essentially non-existent. Ramondre, 13 for 18. Travion, 9 for 27. It was actually Maye, 9 for 28, the leading rusher, the long of 20. So this run game has not gotten on track. But you know who has? Kayshon Boutte, 5 for 93 and 2 tutties in this one. He's had some pretty big games, but another guy you can't count on week in and week out to finally play.
No, and you can't count on. You really can't count on anyone outside of Drake Maye. And even Drake Maye, he's more of like a matchup play. But I mean, I guess Hunter Henry because he's the tight end landscape's so bad. But Boutte, Diggs, Ramondre, Travion Henderson, none of them. They all have such good weeks.
Pop Douglas, 71 a tutty this week, but you're not starting Pop Douglas.
Diggs cooked against the Bills, and he was like a non-factor in this game, and it's like, what the hell?
3 targets. How do you only have 3 targets after that performance? I don't get it.
I don't know. I would have thought he would have been getting force-fed again the way he looked.
Yeah, I don't get it. That's a fumble. For the Saints, Rattler, 20 of 26 for 227. I mean, that's doing your job. The run game, again, not there. 10 for 31 for Kamara. Olave, 6 for 98. I mean, on 10 targets, he's very clearly the number one option there, and I think you feel comfortable starting him week in and week out, despite the touchdown production not being there. But he just gives you such a high floor with the amount of targets he gets in this offense, led by Kellen Moore. Now he's operating more in the slot, which I thought was going to be the case before the season. And now we're seeing that come to fruition, which is huge. Juwan Johnson, not a big game from him. He fumbled, starting to slow down a little bit. So I think I have to take him out of my starting lineup.
Yeah, he's droppable now.
Yeah, not much to take away from this Saints team, man. I mean, just another tough one at home. They competed. I did take the Pats in one of my survivor leagues, so that was a ballsy play that worked out for me, and I'm happy it did.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that ballsy, but still a good play.
I don't know, dude. The Patriots on the road? I don't know. I know it's the Saints, but
I mean, they were 5.5-point favorites, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what I mean. I mean, it's definitely lukewarm.
I'll take it.
Say it's freezing. There definitely was some spice to it, but not a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Saints, like, just such a weird team, I guess. I'm honestly curious what Saint fans think too. Like, do you want to see Shock? Are you cool with Rattler? I mean, he's not really doing anything to affect the game either way. Like, he's so turnover, like he's not turning the ball over. Like, he had some big throws. There was like the bad fumble with Johnson, some drops. They really could have won this game, and they win this game. It's like, well, Rattlers won us the past 2 games and looked great. So I don't know. They're just in a weird spot, but I think they'll still draft a quarterback next year.
Yeah, I saw some people today talking about it, and they were like, look, I don't think Rattler is a franchise quarterback, but like he's definitely earned himself a spot in this league. And he's a guy where, a team that's quarterback needy in the offseason could potentially target as a stopgap option. Like he's going to start games, I think, but again, he's not leading you a Super Bowl, and that's the ultimate goal. So you're kind of stuck with what his ceiling is. But he's definitely earned himself a lot of money because he's going to be in this league for a couple more years, it looks like, at the minimum.
Well, not only that, I mean, like, the talent's obviously there. He was rated so highly at a high school. Like, the talent's there. It's just a matter of, actually playing to his full potential. But the talent's 100% there. All right. You ready to move on?
Yep. Steelers take care of business at home against the division rival Cleveland Browns, 23-9. Pittsburgh off the bye now sits at 4-1. I'm happy I talked myself into taking Steelers spread off the bye. The Browns offensively weren't able to keep them in this game, not scoring a single touchdown here. Yeah, 1-5. Gabriel, I'm sorry. If I see the fact that Dylan Gabriel threw the ball over 50 times, I have a hard time thinking the Browns won that football game. 29-52 for 221. Sacked 6 times. Not ideal. Quinshon Judkins, his worst game as a pro, 12 for 35, which just absolutely, 12 for 36, which kind of sucks as the wheel loses to Tyler Algier, the backup running back. That's great. Receiving wise, Harold Fannin, 7 for 81 on 10 targets. I mean, this guy, he's very startable, Harold Fannin. You got to start him now, right? I mean, he seems like he's one of Dylan Gabriel's top targets. I mean, Jerry Jeudy had 13 targets, but only 5 for 43. So Fannin outproduced him. For Pittsburgh, Rodgers took care of the football, 235, 2 touchdowns, a very standard-looking Aaron Rodgers stat sheet. Big thing is was not sacked a single time for a quarterback that can't move. You got to tip the cap to that Steelers offensive line for keeping him clean against Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, and the boys up front. Run game was Jaylen Warren, 11 for 52, nothing crazy. DK Metcalf, 4 for 95 and a touchdown. Big game from him. Clearly, Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf are starting to find their groove here. I don't know. For me, this doesn't change my outlook for the Steelers this season. I thought they're going to win this game, being at home off the bye. For the Browns, I don't know, man. I'm really not sold on Dylan Gabriel. I just don't know how high his ceiling is. Anyone could throw for 221 yards, passing the ball 52 times. But, if you actually look at his completed passes and where he's throwing the ball, it's like barely anything beyond like 10 yards downfield. And it's really tough to win in this league with a dink and dunk offense. But I know you're high in Gabriel. Your thoughts on this game in general, and better days ahead for Quinshon Judkins, of course.
I think it's just tough. It's just a big ask, like to ask him to throw the ball that many times. And they were in this game, like it was never more than a 2-score game, really. So I don't understand why that's the game plan to go against a really tough Steelers defense. And on top of that, like we've seen, they've been susceptible to the run. So to abandon the run that early was just very head scratching to me. I didn't love to see that at all. I think better days ahead for this Browns offense. Hopefully, I think Gabriel will get his opportunities, but not a very inspiring game. But I really didn't like how they abandoned the run so much, and in terms of the Judkins aspect, definitely feel like they should have had given him more time there.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
So we'll see, though. Long season, but and on the Pittsburgh side of things, like, they're a good team. Aaron Rodgers is healthy, and it's showing like he's healthy. This is what this is what the Jets were supposed to be. And, it just hurts. It just hurts. But he looks good. He looks really good. Does he lead, 10 freaking passing touchdowns this year. You know, Aaron Rodgers is just an ageless wonder. Even at 41, he's still throwing the ball around the yard and throwing a lot of touchdowns. So,
yeah,
just
you know, not to get in the bad side of Steelers fans, but I've seen this story before. We'll see if they get past the first round of the playoffs. That's what I'm looking
but the offense does look better than it has in the past. Like, this is the best offense you can say over the past, like, since Big Ben, right?
I feel like
it's got to be the best. So we'll see. I mean, I agree with you in the sense where we've seen this before, but granted, the offense is definitely producing a lot more than they've had it produce in the past, you know, since Big Ben, whatever that is, 7 years.
Good point. So, all right, moving on here. Your boys, the Carolina Panthers, beat the Cowboys 30-27. Carolina now sitting at 3-3. Man, how the season has flipped around for Carolina. Bryce Young, 17-25 for $199. 3 touchdowns and a pick. Rico Dowdle, we mentioned it earlier. 30 carries for $183. Also added 56 and a touchdown through the air. 36-yarder. I mean, that was sick. He told them boys, they didn't strap up. They didn't buckle up. They weren't ready for Rico, and he dominated this game. So did Ted McMillan. Only 3 catches for 29 yards, but not only his first, but his second professional touchdown here. Massive to see for Ted McMillan. Fantasy holders. For the Cowboys, I saw a great analysis of them on Twitter today. They're a fantasy football team. They don't play defense. But God damn it, if you have Cowboys on your team, you love it because Dak Prescott, 261, 3 touchdowns with no CeeDee Lamb. It doesn't matter. George Pickens, 9 for 168 and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson, another touchdown. I mean, Javonte Williams got slowed down in this one, only 13 for 29, which I thought was pretty crazy. Tip the cap to Carolina run defense. But yeah for the Dallas Cowboys.
It's crazy having Derek Brown, like what it does for that run defense.
It does make quite a difference. But hey, for this Dallas Cowboys team, it's kind of same shit, different week. Score a lot of points, let up more points. Now 2-3-1 in the season for the Cowboys. Not ideal, man. I don't see how they need defensive help to help them kind of reach the playoffs, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm let me speak on the Panthers because that's so exciting to me at 3-3, very much alive, very much in the thick of things. The defense is getting better. Bryce, could obviously look better. I'm not fully happy with his development. I thought he would be better at this point. He's still turning the ball over a lot, but they're not also asking him to do a ton, which is nice because this emergence of the run game out of nowhere. I mean, hey, and they're averaging 5 yards a carry. So just as a team, so with 856 rushing yards this year, and even Hubbard's 4.1 a carry. So it's not like he hasn't been super efficient, but Dowdle 5.8 a carry. It's hard to say. Why not keep giving him the rock? And I mean, the Jets are very susceptible. So there's a good chance if Hubbard misses and he gets the full workload again, like he could be looking at another 200 scrimmage yard game. Very well could be. On the Cowboys side of things, like, I mean, even when they get Lamb back, like they still have a terrible defense. I mean, I wouldn't consider the Panthers like a top tier offense, and to allow 30 points to them, like who can they really stop outside of the Jets? It's going to just be a matchup you're going to want to target all season. I guess I shouldn't fully shit on the Panthers, but I am very happy with them.
Yeah, that was a huge win for them, dude. Huge win. Helps. I mean, I know you picked them to win the division. Tampa Bay, 5-1 is tough, but hey, at least they're making it a race. At least they're in that thing.
Yeah. This is true.
All right, man. The Seattle Seahawks defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road 20-12. Both teams now sit at 4-2, and both quarterbacks played a good game. Darnold 295, 2 touchdowns. Lawrence 258, 2 touchdowns. The difference here, though, Darnold sacked 1 time, Lawrence sacked 7 times. Tough to win football games when there's that big of a margin there. For the run game for Seattle, the gift that keeps on giving. Walker, 10 for 34. Charbonnet, 12 for 24. Both guys, absolute duds. Doesn't matter which one you picked. You got screwed either way. Actually, see Charbonnet's last in the league right now in yards per carry. So unleash Kenneth Walker or trade him, please. I would love to see that. And for Seattle, it's fine. They didn't have to run the ball because Jackson Smith and Jigba has established himself as one of the elite receivers in football, in my opinion, making a big shift this offseason. Instead of being a slot guy, to now playing a lot more on the outside. And without elite speed, he's cooking dudes out there, which is insanely impressive to watch. Obviously, that 61-yard touchdown, 8 for 162. Guy's an absolute stud. Cooper Kupp got in the end zone as well. A.J. Barner with a 61-yard reception. Kind of that's all what Seattle needed in the offensive side of the ball with the way their defense has been playing. No run game for Jacksonville in this one. ETN stuffed Brian Thomas, 8 for 90 and a touchdown. And he also had a long touchdown called back as Travis Hunter lined up off sides. I don't know how that happens, the slot receiver, but it could have been a massive, massive day for Brian Thomas. But we'll take 8 for 90 and a touchdown if you're a Brian Thomas fantasy holder. As I am now, I just got in the sweepstakes. I got Brian Thomas Sunday morning. So I love to see this from Brian Thomas. But yeah, I mean, for me, this doesn't change my outlook on the Jags this season. You know, I had the Seahawks winning this game. I'm more so really impressed with Seattle and this defense in particular. Mike McDonald is just a dude on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I was wrong on Seattle. They're a very good team, and they have a very good defense. And I guess the only thing I wasn't wrong on is the running back room is going to be terrible to have, and their offensive line. Like, their offense still really isn't good to me at all. It's really just their defense that I was not giving enough credit to. Like, I didn't expect their defense to be this good because I feel like they have a very middle-of-the-pack offense right now. Like, they really can't run the ball. Like, you know, if the team can figure out how to take out JSN, it seems like he'll have some success. But they'll probably have a good year. And on the Jacksonville side of things, like, I'm not worried about it at all, really. You know, and honestly, both defenses played well. If you look at it, it's just, you know, I want to talk more about Travis Hunter too. Like, I'm saying it's safe to say to drop him in fantasy football at this point. He's just clogging up a roster spot, and you might almost be better off dropping him, letting him be a landmine for someone else where maybe they're like, oh, Travis Hunter's out there, I got to go pick him up. Like, he's just clogging roster space. Like, I don't think there's going to be a point in the season where he's ever playing enough offensive snaps or he's going to be worth throwing in lineups. And if you do, it's going to be you getting lucky that he got a touchdown because he doesn't have the involvement yet. And right now at this point, he hasn't scored. And even if he did score, like, you wouldn't be having a good week anyway. So I think you're better off dropping him and letting someone else take that landmine. I know you're the biggest Travis Hunter guy, but I think it's safe to say drop him.
I love Travis Hunter, but I'm the biggest Emeka Buka guy. I was bigger on Emeka Buka. I was also big on Travis Hunter. And it sucks because he's even when he's playing up to 60% of snaps, he's only getting a couple targets and they're all like underneath routes. And it's like, you see, when you do give him the targets, he made that sick play down the field against Kansas City. You know, he caught a quick out last week and he broke two dudes' ankles and got a first down. It's like, you see what he could do with the ball in his hands, but I don't know. He's just not involved enough in the offensive game plan, even when he's getting 60% of the snap share. So, yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, what argument do I have right now? The production's not there. He's not getting targeted. And, you know, it's a problem with the Jacksonville passing attack in its entirety, in my opinion, and not necessarily Hunter's talent, because we see the talent when he actually gets the ball. But, yeah, for fantasy football purposes, redraft league, not ideal. Now, if you're a situation like me where I lost Malik Neighbors for the season and, you know, I had Rashee Rice waiting to come back off suspension, yeah, I had no choice but to take my 6 points and shut up. But, you know, hopefully better days are ahead for Travis Hunter because it's not ideal right now.
That's for sure. All
right. We don't have to spend too much time in this game. It was pretty much a dud, but 17-3, the Rams beat the Ravens, improved to 4-2, Baltimore 1-5. I'm really surprised this Rams offense didn't hang more on this Baltimore defense, even despite the fact they lost Puka Nacua after 2 for 28. Devontae Adams only 4 for 39 on 9 targets. Not great. Higbee 40 in the touchdown. Kyron Williams got one on the ground. That's kind of all they needed for the Ravens. Cooper Rush was bad. Got through a pick, 11 for 19 for 72. Got benched for Snoop Huntley, who's back in the Ravens uniform, but, you know, he didn't really do much either. Got sacked 4 times. It was really just Derrick Henry. What can you do for us? 24 for 122. That's a positive. However, only 1 catch for 8 yards and no touchdown. So not the sexiest slate game script for your fantasy purposes. And they only had 3 points. So didn't get the job done here. Cooper Rush also fumbled one. Zay Flowers fumbled one. Just messy football in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, at least for fantasy football owners, like, if you started Derrick Henry, like I know a lot of people were saying don't start him. I said, and he still didn't have like a crazy week, but it's good to see him get a 100-yard game, especially in a game where like Lamar's not even there. So it's like a lot of people are like, is he starting to hit a cliff? At least this shows you like, no, he's not. Like even when, because of course they're going to stack the box, of course, what else would the Ravens do? They want to run the ball with Henry. That's their best chance to win. So that's my biggest takeaway for the Ravens. I mean, it's hard to take a ton of takeaways here. I mean, I guess it's nice to see the defense was able to hold them to 17, even with their offense being no help at all. On the Rams side of the ball, like, yeah, that's not a good offensive game. Granted, you lose Puka early, so that doesn't help. But, yeah, I mean, I guess the defense looked good. Like, you took care of business. When you're going against the backup, like, to hold them to 3 points, like, fully taking care of business. So that's great to see. Damn,
Yeah.
Nate Landman with fucking 17 tackles on the Rams.
Oh, that's crazy.
Ship and a half. That's a lot of tackles.
Yeah, my boy was definitely sore this morning after hitting Derrick Henry that many times.
That is a lot of tackles. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the Rams took care of business. That's a game that you got to win. So with the Niners losing, that's huge for LA.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
All right. The Raiders 20-10 over the Titans. They improved to 2-4. Tennessee 1-5, and it led to the firing of their head coach, Callahan. Cam Ward sacked 6 times, touchdown to pick, 26-38, 222. Nothing great there. I mean, he didn't really have a run game supporting him, though. Pollard 10 for 34, Spears 5 for 31. Like, I know Spears seems to be taking over more of a role in that backfield. Pollard hasn't necessarily been super effective. Your guy Calvin Ridley 1 for 18. It was Van Jefferson 4 for 75 getting it done. Like, I don't know, man. This offense is just so bad. And Ward also fumbled twice and lost both. So 3 turnovers from the first overall pick. Not going to get it done. For the Raiders, Genty 75 and a touchdown. Geno Smith finds Michael Mayer stepping in for Brock Bowers, who gets in the end zone. It wasn't really a sexy game for Las Vegas either. It's not like this Tennessee defense has been elite by any stretch of the means. It wasn't great, but they did enough to get the win here in an ugly game. Battle of 2 bad teams. Not a lot to take away from this one, in my opinion, Reagan, but what say you?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway, I have 2 takeaways here. Like, the Raiders, very bad. Like, even with going against a terrible Titans team, like Geno looked terrible. They can't run the ball, like, because the Titans have been very beatable on the ground. They still couldn't really run the ball with Genty. On the Tennessee side, like, Cam Ward looked terrible. Really wasn't able to hit anybody, and then loses Calvin Ridley. Like, just not a whole lot to take away here. Like, we'll see if letting why am I blanking? Callahan go helps his development, because right now it is not ideal. Not ideal at all.
No. I mean, hopefully brighter days are ahead for Tennessee. I know a lot of Titans fans just think this team's an absolute dumpster fire. And when you see the success that Mike Vrabel's having in New England, you got to think like, damn, did we pull the plug there a little too early?
Yeah, and I'd say you definitely did pull the plug a little too early.
I would agree with you. Feels good. I mean, who's in a worse position, the Titans or the Jets? I think the Titans are. I think the Jets have more talent.
Maybe, but
the Titans have a young quarterback, but like,
yeah, I mean,
he hasn't shown you much promise yet.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, both teams are in bad spots. I mean, maybe the Titans just because they just fired their coach and like they have a rookie quarterback. So yeah, I'd say the Titans just because of at least the Jets like have some hope for next year where it's like we're gonna draft a quarterback. Like it's your Glenn. But although we could be in the same exact situation if you think about it. Like, it's very well possible. It's lining up to be a very similar situation. So, I don't know. At the moment, I lean the Jets slightly, and not even because of the talent, just because of the fact that the Titans just fired their coach and have a rookie quarterback that hasn't really showed a ton of promise through 6 weeks. Granted, a long season. We'll have the full season and all of next year as well to continue to improve. But, yeah.
Valid point, man. All right, moving on here. The Bengals dropped their 4th in a row, a 27-18 loss to the Green Bay Packers. If there's a positive takeaway here, it's certainly that Joe Flacco on for a short week for him getting traded and snapping up to play, the offense looked much better. He threw for 219 and 2 touchdowns. Your run game still struggled. 9 for 42 is a little bit better for Chase Brown, but Jamar Chase and T. Higgins had a pretty good day. Chase 94 and a touchdown on 10 receptions. Higgins 5 for 62. That's something that I'd like to see continue throughout the season because for fantasy football fans, that's really the big thing with Joe Flacco. I think the way this defense and offensive line looks for Cincinnati, although Flacco was only sacked one time, so that's pretty good. Is that a veteran quarterback getting the ball out in time, or is that the offensive line improving? I don't know, but at least this offense looks like it's going to be somewhat enjoyable to watch the rest of the season because the way they're constructed right now, playoffs seem like a pipe dream for Cincinnati. For Green Bay, coming off a bye, proving a 3-1-1, kind of would have liked to see them handle Cincinnati a little bit better, but they got the win at the end of the day. That's all that matters. Jordan Love did his thing, 259, a touchdown, a pick. Jacobs, 2 touchdowns and 93 yards on the ground. Tucker Kraft got in the end zone, and Matthew Golden starting to come into his own a little bit, 3 for 86 in this one on 5 targets, but it was Romeo Doubs, 9 targets, still kind of being that number one option for Jordan Love here. Your thoughts on the Bengals and Joe Flacco leading this offense, Reagan, and then also the Packers? I mean, not necessarily how you want to see them win the game, but they got the win. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers, it's fine. You got the win. I mean, Flacco's a veteran where, I think they would have probably dominated more if it was Browning. Not much to say there. And then on the Browns side, the Bengals side, at least Joe Flacco, was able to keep Jamar Chase and honestly T. Higgins both relevant in this game. T. Higgins should have scored that one where he was tackled on the inch line. So you're looking at that game a little bit differently. But, it definitely would excite me if I'm an owner of either. Even honestly, even if you were able to trade for either one of them, it's a pretty good buy low maybe. I don't know. I'm buying into it. I feel like they're going to be very relevant and not Joe Burrow when he's there good, but still very viable and close to what return on their value of what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, if you took Jamar 1, you're not super thrilled, but look at some of the other options you could have right now. He's been fine the past 2 weeks. Definitely a lot of other guys you could have taken there that have earned worse spots. I mean, freaking Puka and Jefferson are hurt not Jefferson. Puka and Lamb are hurt right now. Saquon's been terrible. Who else is there?
Neighbors out for the season. Not that you're taking
Neighbors
one,
is out for the season.
First round guy, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these first round guys have definitely been worse than him. And, everyone was as soon as Burrow went down, Chase is done, but he's fine. So it's kind of where I'm at with that.
True. Good to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
We got 2 more games to rip through. The Bucs get a win at home, improved to 5-1 over the now 4-2 Niners, 30-19. Baker Mayfield continuing his MVP campaign, 17 for 23, 256, 2 touchdowns. Rashad White and Sean Tucker punched one in. Cameron Johnson and Tez Johnson, the Johnson brothers, score through the air for Tampa Bay. I don't know if you saw, but Tez Johnson, after he caught that, his only catch of the day, 45-yarder.
Yeah.
Amazing catch. Catch. Incredible. And that was a dot by Baker Mayfield. I know you were talking about Tez Johnson before the season, hey, a guy I think you should stash on your taxi squad. And, he kind of adds a different element to this offense. And they were given MVP chance. And I don't know if you saw the video, but Tez was on the bench with Shep. He's like, yo, why they chanting MVP? I ain't do shit this year. And Shep's like, Tez, they're talking about Baker, dude. But yeah, Baker Mayfield rightfully getting MVP chance when you have a 5-1 Bucs team. It's not just a stat sheet either, dude. It's the juice he plays with. It's the energy he provides his team. It's the scrambles to pick up first downs. Not a guy known for his legs, but that one scramble he had, that 15-yarder to pick up that first down, was just badass, dude. And that's kind of why I could see him winning the MVP award this year if the Bucs keep it up. For the Niners, I mean, Mac Jones threw for 347 to help you cash your bet at nearly plus 500 odds, your 4-unit play, getting to 600 passing yards between the two.
Dude, just take Mac Jones over in passing yards every week. I mean, they let the dude just sling it around the yard.
They do, bro. 347 on 39 attempts is legit. And he got sacked 6 times, had 2 interceptions. That's why the scoreboard is what it is at this stage. But, Kendrick Bourne, 5 for 142 from Mac Jones. Your boy Jake Tongas at 6 for 58. McCaffrey, 57 through the air, also scored on the ground, had 54 on the ground, so over 100 yards. For me, I just think this is a tough spot on the road with all the injuries they had, losing Fred Warner. It's an uphill battle to beat Tampa Bay, even without their top options. But we touched on this game earlier, Reagan. I think a big positive to come away from here is that both these offenses are going to score a lot of points no matter who's lining up out wide. And, defensively, the Niners, it might be a really tough year now. Robert Sala's doing good things with this defense, but now without 2 All-Pros, it's going to be tough for San Francisco.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough for San Fran. I don't know. I mean, will Purdy come back? I mean, I still think he's better than Mac Jones, but Mac Jones is definitely playing himself into a future job with somebody. I was impressed with the Bucs. Like, I think they're legit. I definitely think they're legit because they're winning a lot of these games with how banged up they are. So if they can get healthy come playoff time, like, they could really be a threat. I think they'll probably run away with this division at this point. Like, while I thought Carolina could win it before the season, Tampa Bay is a lot better than I expected. Carolina is about where I thought they would be, like, middle of the pack, fighting for 10 wins. But, I mean, fucking Tampa Bay may go out and win like 13 games this year, the way they're playing right now. So that Lions-Bucs game on Monday night next week is going to be fireworks. And then it's a doubleheader, so we get Seattle and Houston at the night game.
Oh, wow. That's huge. Yeah. We get another double header next week. That's sick.
Yeah. Yep. So that'll be complete fireworks. Wow.
Is that staggered the 7 and 10, right?
Yeah, because they got the West Coast. Staggered. I believe that's the last they're doing that. So we're not going to get many more of those like weird events outside of some Saturdays later in the year. And then of course, like the Thanksgiving and Christmas. But yeah, so that's the last of that one. But hey, it's a great way to end it. I would be fine if they did it more often, if they staggered it, honestly. But
yeah, me too.
But if I had my choice of 2 Monday night games or London, I'm taking London though.
I agree there. All right, let's move on, man. The Sunday night football game. Kansas City takes care of business in Arrowhead, 30-17 over Detroit. Chiefs now sit at 3-3. They also have dealt with a gauntlet of a schedule to start the season. Detroit at 4-2, suffering their first loss since week 1. For Detroit here, Goff 203, 2 touchdowns. Did not turn the ball over. Gibbs 17 for 65. Montgomery not super involved, 4 for 24. It was Jameson Williams getting the touchdown and Sam Laporta. But, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 for 45 on 10 targets. You're not used to seeing him with a stat line like that with 9 receptions. So you got to tip your cap to Steve Spagnuolo and that Chiefs defense for really stepping up at home. For Kansas City, Mahomes, 257, 3 touchdowns, also added one on the ground. Yeah, he's been a different dude using his legs.
The number one fantasy quarterback right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is why you take Patrick Mahomes in round 6 or 7 or 8 instead of, a quarterback in round 2 or 3. Honestly, he's Pat Mahomes, and he's performing without Rashee Rice, who's now eligible to play in week 7. He's getting his number 1 target back, stepping up in his absence. Hollywood with 2 touchdowns. Worthy scored only with 2 catches. Kelsey leading receiver, 6 for 78.
And that was kind of my big kickback real quick, not to change it too much, but like between Mahomes and Burrow, like what is really the difference? Like if anything, Mahomes is a better runner, so why would you not take the value and get him later? Hey, the Chiefs looked great in this game. Offense looked great, and they're getting Rashee Rice back next week. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out with, Kelsey, Worthy, and Rice. Like, does Kelsey actually get better now that he has those guys to take the pressure off? I almost wonder, and Worthy, has kind of been Mahomes' top guy. Last night, not as much. Like Hollywood Brown was a benefactor, but it'll be interesting. I mean, they got a scary core. I mean, if they can really figure out how to run the ball, I mean, this team's like fully back. The defense is sick. And for Detroit, I'm not too worried. Like, I feel like they were due for a dud. It is the most human I've seen their offense look in a while. Like, they looked very clunky and very outmatched last night. Where, in the past they've had some big success, but they really couldn't run the ball. They really couldn't pass the ball. Just very out of sorts, honestly. Very rare to see from Detroit how bad that offense looked.
It is, but you know what? It's also the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. They make a lot of offenses look somewhat human. So, like
Yeah.
you said, I'm not concerned about Detroit, man. They're 4-2. They're going to be a top team in the NFC. For Kansas City, I think this is a big game for them momentum-wise. I think we're going to start to see the Chiefs go on a pretty fat win streak coming up. So, definitely a huge win for them, trying to get back to the top of that AFC. But, hey, that's all we got this week, man. Felters, drop a comment, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. Please, we appreciate you.
Thank you.